Hello and welcome to this unboxing video for the Judge Dredd miniatures game starter set. So jumping straight in, as you can see the box art is striking and is really honouring the comic with a fantastic Greg Staples colour image and some nice black and white panels in the background which looks to me to be John Higgins art. So as we crack open the box you can see it's packed full of goodies. You just saw there a moment ago the 8 combat dice and 2 standard dice. Combat dice are illustrated so that you know straight away if your result is a hit, an armour result or a 2000 AD special result. And now we're looking at the plastic game tokens, which denote actions and conditions that apply to your characters in the game. 2 different colours. Obviously, the gold is intended for the judges, but there's no set rule on that, and the blue for your perps. These are the stands for the miniatures, and this little pack here this is the 10 miniatures that you get with the game. Now, don't worry if you feel this is going too fast, because we're going to be looking at all of this in more detail as the video goes on. So these are the Big Meg and the Armory cards, both of which have weapons and events, which really bring a lot of the flavour of the strip to the tabletop. They're in really nice cardstock, and the comic panels perfectly illustrate which weapon or event it is that the card represents. Moving on from those, these are the unit cards, which are handy little stat reference guides which you'll need to run the game when you're playing. For the most part, the stats tell you how many combat dice you'll be rolling when you make your attacks or make your stat checks. And again, they have nice little bits of art on them, nicely realised. And speaking of high quality, here's the full colour 160-page softback rulebook, which is really beautifully presented with a good mix of images, both from the comic and the tabletop itself. Now, don't worry if you feel that I'm going too fast here. We're going to have a look at all of these elements in a bit more detail as we go on. This is the 8-page quick start scenario booklet, which is intended to get you running your games quickly, and also has a nice little summary sheet in the back page, which, if you're new to the system, helps you get used to the rules, particularly the summary of the actions, which is really handy. This here is the double-sided 3-foot by 3-foot gaming mat, which is far too big to show in this part of the unboxing video, but again, we'll see both sides of this gaming mat in full detail later on towards the end of the video. This is the full colour water slide, which is full of familiar Megacity 1 graffiti, and you can scuzz up your scenery with that. Finally, and it's a trick for me to get this out of the box here, the die-cut scenery provides some scatter scenery to provide your judges and perps with some cover. A really nice touch is that one side of the scenery is in pristine condition, while the flip side has it destroyed, so you can destroy some of this while your game unfolds, which is good fun. And finally, the rear of the box which again is nicely presented, is full of lots of images of the miniatures and the game components. We've got Get Benny Hill Cam activated for a closer look at the rulebook here. It's beautifully presented, as I said, 160 full colour pages, and they're all very glossy. There's a great mixture of images of the miniatures themselves and a whole lot of classic Judge Dredd artwork, which complements and illustrates the text perfectly. As you'd expect, the rulebook has everything you need to play the game, as well as the gameplay rules, which allow you to battle on Megacity 1's mean streets on foot or on vehicles. There's a large section with a great variety of groups, including judges, city death, block gangs, and fatties, amongst others. But there's also a nice selection of special name characters, including fan favourites like Judge Death, Mean Machine Angel, Judge Anderson, and Dredd himself. There's 6 scenarios to play and a generation-spanning campaign system, which I'm really excited to run at some point soon. Really keen to see how that plays out. This is the Quick Start scenario booklet, which I mentioned earlier on, which has 3 linked adventures to introduce you to combat in Megacity 1. Players who are new to the game will find, again, as I mentioned before, the back of the booklet really helpful, as it has those summary of actions and the turn sequence. Benny Hill strikes again as we have a look at the card scenery. So this is me just punching it out. I did it in a minute flat, so this is at double speed, so it only takes 30 seconds. I don't want to bore you with all that. The card, again, is sturdy and the illustrations are great. I would mention, as someone that prefers to have 3D terrain in my tabletop, I'm not sure how much use I'll get out of these, but bear in mind this is a starter set, so this is really fantastic for anyone who's new to wargaming and is starting from a position of not having any terrain. So no complaints from me about that. The fact that they've provided that, I think it's a really nice touch. These, again, are the plastic tokens, games tokens, which you can see have nice embossed detail on them on both sides of the counters. These include injury markers, action chips, stunned, Overwatch, pinned, and moving fast markers. They're nice little tokens that you'll be using a lot in the game. I like that they're coloured differently from those in the Strontium Dog Miniatures game, because it means I now can have 4 factions on the table. So moving on to the unit cards, these, as I mentioned, are the stat summaries which are used for play, and they've got stats and abilities listed on them. Again, made with good card stock and nicely illustrated and realised. Once again, Warlord have really delivered with the armoury cards. You can see that all the classic bullet loadouts for the Lawgiver and Judge's equipment is also available to be used in the game. I really love how these bring the flavour of the strip to the tabletop, as do these big Meg cards. Again, they bring a lot of flavour from the strip, and again, they're beautifully presented. And what Strontium Dog Miniatures games fans can even bring Johnny and Wolf to the table. And at last, we move on to the miniatures. So you get 10 Warlord resin miniatures in the set, 8 of which are gang members and 2 are judges. And I've still got some cleaning up to do in these, as you can probably tell. I'm just picking them up there to give you a sense of the scale, the size and scale of those. And here we have the full Tory Hart gallery of images, which will hopefully give you a better idea of the poses for the miniatures and the kind of level of detail that there is in the miniatures. So you can have a real sense of the physicality of each one of these. So I think this is probably a good time while you're watching that, if you're not playing your music in the background. It's probably a good time to mention to anyone who hasn't already realised that we were lucky to have both Judge Dredd and Strontium Dog's lead designer Andy Chambers on our podcast. I am biased, but I genuinely think it's a great listen, and it's still available on this channel. In it, Andy talks about the process of making both games, taking us through the story from inception to release, and even tells us a little about the future for Warlord Games 2000 AD range. So check it out, it's definitely worth a listen. So far as this unboxing video goes, I appreciate that I'm about 2 years late to the party for it, but for various reasons I've only managed to just recently pick it up. I'm really looking forward to getting these starter set miniatures painted and getting to play. I really loved the Strontium Dog Miniatures game, so I'm excited to hit the streets of Mega City 1, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to start putting up some more videos about 2000 AD games. So I'm thinking of doing some how to play guides, and then perhaps putting together some game reports. Please feel free to comment on the video or wherever you see me posting on social media to let me know what content you'd like me to create for these games. If the demand is there, I'll try and put up the videos, some more videos on a kind of semi-frequent basis. I should also mention that I intend to hold some more podcasts where I'll be talking about both Judge Dredd and Strontium Dog Miniatures games, hopefully loading them full of character guides as well as plenty of handy hints and tips to make the most of your forces on the tabletop. I'm also hopeful, I don't want to say too much about it, but I'm also hopeful that we might have some more special guests on the show, so please be sure to subscribe and to watch this space. So as you can see, obviously these are all the gang members, and they come in, a variety of shapes and sizes and poses, which I think is good. It makes them all distinctive, and different weapons as well on them. And so you've got plenty of threat for your judges to have to deal with, which is a nice thing to have. Also want to mention about the next one that's coming up, so the Rookie Judge miniature. It reminds me a lot of Judge Anderson, here we go, from the 2012 film. Note the little detail that she doesn't have the eagle shoulder patch, because she's still to earn her full badge. So that's a nice little touch. And lastly, in the miniatures, we have a full street judge, which you can use as any judge or even Dredd himself. The rules are provided in the rule set. Note that the game uses a Mark II Lawgiver, which is a much more pleasing design for me anyway than the original Mark Is. I lost a few Mark I barrels in my original Games Workshop miniatures back in the 80s due to the spindly design. So I'm sure these will be a lot more durable, and it's a nice piece. And here we've got a closer look at the graffiti decals, packed full of designs and references that Dredd fans will instantly recognise. I really love the Phantom and Chopper graffiti. Thank you for doing that, Warlord. That was really nice. I just need to get some terrain to put those to good use. And finally, for the starter set items, here's a look at the battle map, which, as I mentioned, is 3 foot by 3 foot. That's the recommended board size for the Judge Dredd miniatures game. Just to mention, as someone that's traditionally played on 6x4 boards for my wargaming, I really like that this and the Strontium Dog game are a little more compact and easy to set up and put away. Use fewer miniatures in some of the games I'm used to doing. So it gives it a bit more of a kind of quick play feel to it. As far as the map is concerned, you'll be able to see it's really beautifully designed with megaways, underzooms, cranes, wasteland, and so on. And I think that the fact that it's double-sided, so that you get 2 battle maps for the price of 1, is a really great move by Warlord, maximising your bang for buck. As you can see, I've also placed some of the die-cut scenery on the game mats, which you can see meshes nicely with the mat illustration. So that covers all the starter set components, and as you can see, it's been loaded full of goodies, all of which have been realised to a very high and impressive standard. There's so much in the set that fans of the strip will appreciate, but most importantly of all, it gives you everything you need to get on to start playing Judge Dredd. It's judgment time, creep. But hold on, that's not all. I thought I would also throw in a few little extras for you. So this is a couple of wee extra things not in the set. I bought an extra batch of combat dice. Note that these are black dice, whereas the ones in the starter set are red, which is very handy to differentiate between both players' dice. I love the image system that they've got with the dice, so you immediately know if you've hit, made an armor save, or rolled a special result, which is far better than traditional dice, and you can, as I say, you can match them off there against each other, the hits versus the armor. I've also got this dice bag, which is a good stash for the combat dice between games, and for the action chips, which are used to activate characters during play. It's far from essential, but it's good quality, and the 2000 AD embroidered logo is very nicely realised. Most importantly, the bag is spacious enough that grabbing chips isn't an issue. And finally, this is Dredd's Compartment, a limited edition rulebook. It's absolutely identical in all respects, but it's just a nice collector's piece, especially when Andy, Roger and Gav have all signed it. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.